being from here, I live in Chicago right now, and I guess kind of where I'm at now from where I come from. Basically, what I do is business, life coaching, success coaching, and kind of
Hmm.
the whole work-life balance. It's what I
Yeah.
call lifestyle development. And so the lifestyle development for me, what it is, it's kind of self-help on steroids. And that
Hmm.
came from my background starting off as a dating coach. And so that was in 2007. And what it was is that, I came from a background, my parents were high school sweethearts. They knew each other since they were 14, each other's first kiss. And then coming out of high school into college, I was like, okay, I need to find my girlfriend because that's what my parents did. So I had the same girlfriend from 16 years old to about 24. And then when that ended, I was kind of sad, of course. And then I was like, I got to figure out how to do this. And so that's what led me to finding out about the dating industry. I dove in head
Hmm.
first, and through that, within a year of taking a program as a client, became an instructor. And so then I taught in over 40 countries. Haven't been to India, but taught in over
Yeah.
40 countries around the world. Uh, you know, thousands of clients, large seminars, a couple hundred people, up to 1,000 people. But most of my time was spent in between 1 to 3 clients that I'd be working with. And
Hmm.
then what happened was, is all the travel. It's awesome when you're in your 20s, but now I'm 34. As I was getting to about the age of 30, the travel kind of gets a little bit old.
Yeah.
So transitioning out of making an income from an event and how to do it online. And that's where I really dove into the business side of things. And
Hmm.
then to get to where we're at today, I guess, is that it was a transition from not only dating, but then I was like, okay, what else is there to life? There's more to life than just women. And that's what's
Yeah.
got me into the lifestyle development and then bringing the business context in. That kind of rounds it out to where, being the dating coach, I've been with my same girlfriend now for almost 5 years. She's super awesome. The business is really killing it, doing really well lately. Health is something that's super important to me as I get older and older. And then, friends, family, everything else has just been
Hmm.
rolling really nicely. And so that's really what I teach is how to balance it
Yeah.
all together. I think, well, the first thing is that you can't do it for the money. I'd say
Yeah.
that. But I guess, like, let's start there. Let's start at the top. Financial freedom comes from, let's say, if you want money, it comes from creating value. And
Yeah.
so, really, the thing to focus on is how can you create as much value as possible. But it's also got to be the type of value that people are willing to pay for. And I think that's a mistake. A lot of people try to either model what I'm doing. You see a lot of life coaches and stuff like that. And so I made this mistake at the start too, in thinking that the better coach I became, the more money would flow. But it's
Yeah.
it's not so much that it's just the value that you offer. It's even more the perceived value that you offer. And so that's what it's kind of you're always wearing two hats. So I don't know whoever is asking that question based on what their like industry they're in and what they want to do with their life. But there's always two hats of like you have the actual value, the technical skill that you're trying to put out there, whether it's public speaking or coaching or being some form of a consultant or whatever you do, whether it's financial analysis or recruitment, getting good at that. But then on the other side, always thinking about what is your marketable value, what is your perceived value, being more assertive, asking for that
Yeah.
raise, negotiating for the money that you want and things like that. I think people wish that if they just got good enough at their craft, they could be financially successful. But there is just these core tenets that you need of having kind of a hard line. I'm looking over, I got a book, it's called Winning Through Intimidation. Books like that
Hmm.
where you just really are able to, getting to yes, a great negotiations book, and kind of being able to assert yourself and grind and hustle, not only just working hard, because I think a lot of people get the idea that you got to work hard, but it's
Yeah.
also, I wouldn't even say working smart, it's just knowing where to put your focus and your energy to get the return that you want.
Hmm.
I guess
Yeah.
I'd say, and then from that point, I feel too many people, they read a book like The 4 Hour Work Week and they say,
Yeah.
okay, the thing that I loved about it at the time was the internet was very, new. And so there were all these little pockets in the internet where you could kind of arbitrage your way to make money and just turn it on and just runs itself sort of thing. You don't have to even work or talk to people. It's just like creating an ATM machine online. That doesn't exist except for very small places, and if it does,
Yeah.
maybe in different, actually, it's more likely to happen probably where you're at than in America. America is a super mature market, but even I know like
Yeah.
India with like outsourcing and stuff, you guys have, it's to the point where, we're almost equal for outsources. Now it's
Yeah.
like everyone's going to whatever, Serbia and Ukraine and shit. So that age of the internet was 10, 15 years ago, is gone. So it's more now about finding, okay, doing something that you're actually going to enjoy and doing it, knowing that it's going to take some time and being patient,
Hmm.
as well as if you're going to, it's not like, don't live your life to retire in 10 years or 20 years or 30 years.
Yeah.
Live your life that once, if you were able to retire, what would you still want to be doing? And so for me, that's
Hmm.
really what, if you want to talk about like just feeling rich or having true success, to me, it's having the free time. And even more, even like right before this call, it's to be able to have the freedom to be with the people that you want to be around. The
Yeah.
employees that you choosing the right employees. If you have a boss that you respect and like, or being the boss, and even your customers, not just thinking, oh no, I need more money, so I'll take whoever I can get. Saying no, like I fire customers, or there's a pretty intense screening process for me to work with certain people. And then what else is there? Friends and family. You can't really change your family, but you can
Yeah.
kind of limit your time. But like friends, same thing. Girlfriends, those toxic relationships. There's only so much time that you're alive, and it's not worth it to be doing that. So that's the other. So I guess kind of tying that in with your question is having
Yeah.
really strong personal boundaries of what you're willing to put up with, like other people's behavior as well as your own, and then setting your sights on something like what does it mean for you? Because I think
Yeah.
success for each person is different too. That was kind of a roundabout answer, but hopefully that. Yeah, I got my favorite books are over here. I still have a few to add to them, but
Hmm.
kind of from looking at them, my favorite book of all of them is Atlas Shrugged by Ayn
Hmm.
Rand. And
I know.
so I love that. It's fiction, which is interesting. It's some of the only fiction that although I have been reading Game of Thrones lately for totally different reasons. But I very rarely read fiction, but it's a great fiction book if anyone hasn't heard of it. Or have your listeners probably heard of it or no?
Yeah, like Atlas Shrugged came after the Fountainhead, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Like one has to read the Fountainhead first, then comes the Atlas Shrugged.
I think you could do. I both of them are over there because they're both two of my favorite books.
Yeah.
What I like about Alice Shrugged is her philosophy is a little bit more refined there, and her writing style is a little bit better. But I know half the people I talk to like The Fountainhead, but I think they're great. Just read them both, really. So that's kind of just the overall favorite book. Specifically for self development, the book that I've recommended the most is The Six Pillars of Self Esteem by Nathaniel
Yeah.
Branden. And that one is really integrated in with Atlas Shrugged and Ayn Rand because they actually were a couple
In
for a long time.
relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. In some format, right? Some
Yeah.
unique form. So I feel that the Six Pillars of Self Esteem is kind of the step by step process of becoming the main characters from Atlas Shrugged, like the Francisco d'Anconis and John Galt. So that's just a great, fantastic book. So then, purely from the business side of things, would be the E Myth and A Lean Startup. Those are the two books that I've recommended the most. And the E
Hmm.
Myth, I kind of was hinting at some things out of that before, in that most people, if you don't have an idea of what business really is, you think that business is about the craft, the technical skill.
Hmm.
And the E Myth is awesome for kind of popping that bubble and realizing that business overall is about everything else. It's about how you market yourself, it's about the processes, it's about kind of turning any company, even if you would never sell it, to make it saleable and to kind of McDonald's your
Yeah.
business so you can delegate and process and systematize. So that is just a huge, the foundational material for business. And then what was the other one? The Lean Startup that I said. I like the Lean Startup because it's one of those books that I put off reading for years because I saw the title and I said, okay, yeah, be lean. I get it. Don't spend money if you
Hmm.
don't have to. But
Yeah.
I wish I would have read it years before I did, and I should probably reread it again because it's these mistakes that we all make as business owners, to where we put too much energy and capital into certain things before we get it to market and testing it. And too often we sit on the sidelines with any idea before we get it out there and see what sort of feedback you get. So it's more of a methodology and a philosophy towards business that it's just, you got to have that, especially in the internet age, because shit is spinning so fast and moving so fast these days that you could wait 6 months and that technology might not even literally be around or something like that.
Yeah.
Those are the main ones. The only other ones I have up there are The Winning Through Intimidation by Robert Ringer, and then Awaken the Giant Within by Tony
Yeah.
Robbins. I think those are some of the other classic ones, but those would be the top 5, unless all of a sudden you kind of dive into the marketing side of things, where again the E-Myth would be kind of the starting point there. But if you're getting into business, you need to be marketing. Marketing and sales is everything. So I would just kind of lump that all together as another thing to focus. I would say it's funny because I've been teaching like outside of just dating for the last 3 or 4 years. And so when I just jumped in, the thing is when I was teaching guys how to be successful with women, it was so the core confidence, the self-esteem, the emotional intelligence, that applies to anything in life. And so I was like, okay, if I applied this to my finances, what would that look like? And how have I kind of created some of these things? And I kind of thought I had it figured out then. And along the way, I've learned a lot more. And I feel that I've learned more about myself from a self-development and self-awareness standpoint through business than I ever did through running around a nightclub and meeting girls and dating women and things like that. So what I would say for the financial freedom stuff, the biggest takeaways that I have now is if you look at, let's say, just successful entrepreneurs and what separates them from yourself, or from somebody just starting off, let's say, is that there's these kind of core tenets. This is kind of what you were asking before about the baseline stuff. Like there's this baseline that I've noticed all successful entrepreneurs have, and it is those things like that assertiveness, the willing to negotiate, the willing to make something awkward and going for what you want. Because the opposite, and this is where I came from, was that I wish I was just a good enough coach and people liked what I did and I created enough value and I even was able to do sales copy well enough that people were going to give me money. But you still have to ask for it and you still have to negotiate and you have to be willing to say, hey, hey, this is what I'm worth. And deal with that awkward situation. Somebody's pulling out their credit card and that could lead to kind of, it's a high pressure situation. And the
Yeah.
people that are the best, the people that are the most successful, they love that situation. And so if you don't, what I used to do is try to be like, okay, how can I get around that? And that's not the answer. The answer is become that. So look
Yeah.
at those things the things that hold people back, keep people in a poverty complex, are those things. They're instead of kind of negotiating to find like a lower price, they say, oh, you know what, like that just might be a little kind of awkward situation. I'm just not really gonna, kind of crank on that dial, something like that. I
Yeah.
think the other side too is also there's a bunch of different sort of truisms. One big one is a long-term focused strategy. Another one I think even before then that I think is kind of, set for us here is like the market that you're in too. So thinking about, I tried really hard to make as much money as I could from these little 19-year-olds that were just wanted to learn about girls and stuff like that. And it's like,
Yeah.
oh, no matter what, there's only so much money to be made here. I'm going to go and focus more on entrepreneurs and business owners. Because then it's like, if you're already making, I have some clients that are making a couple $100,000 a year, to get
Yeah.
them to, a 10% return, that all of a sudden they're making another $100,000. So paying me 10 grand or 20K doesn't mean anything when the returns that they're getting are huge. It's an investment in their business. So it's something to keep in mind. Like I just say this because for India and stuff like that, I'm very conscious of where is the revenue coming in the different advertising streams. And
Yeah.
so if you're there thinking, okay, who do I want to market to? Do I want to market to, English-speaking people? Do I want to market to people in Europe? Do I want to market? And that's going to factor in the pricing model that you have for your coaching, the pricing model that you'd have for your products, everything kind of from that point too. The other thing too is like what I was saying, the other side of it. Well, two more things, I guess. I could just go on for days with this sort of stuff. But one is the complexity and the long-term focus. And what I mean by that is people are looking to be like, okay, how can I get it where in 6 months from now I'm making 3 or 4K a month, and then I'm able to do a trip and something like that and house it up. The more wealth you want to create, the more success that you want to have, the more long-term your strategy has to be. And so the
Yeah.
more you have to, I don't want to say like delay gratification or delay the satisfaction, but it's like, okay, what is my 10-year plan? And what's the fastest way to the 10-year plan compared to what is the fastest way to like the 1 month? The 1 month should fit into the 10-year, and being
Yeah.
willing to, not get bottle service and buy the Ferrari now. Instead, reinvest that so you can buy the private jet in 5 years, sort of
Yeah.
thing. And with that, the complexity. So what we're doing a big rebranding process right now because I don't know if people like yourself, you knew me back when I was
Yeah.
Brad and things like
Yeah.
that. So back in the day, using like a pseudonym and stuff like that. So we're
Yeah.
going through a huge rebranding right now. And if you, I wish I could show a screenshot of like the email funnels and the sales funnels that we have, and like the complexity of the web. We had to build the website literally from scratch. Like it's WordPress, but we couldn't use a theme because there's multiple member sites and all these different things. And it's like that's what makes it so you can create the best customer experience possible and the scalability. And that's like I had to become a damn programmer to figure this shit out, as well as having two full-time programmers
Yeah.
working for me. Even with the three of us there together, it's still just tough just to wrap your head around. But that's what makes it so you can scale and have more and more people coming in and not have people fall through the cracks, and being able to give them the best value we talked about before
Mm-hmm.
as possible. So when you want to hit a higher financial level of success, you have to say, okay, how am I going to create that value? And that value only comes from complexity, which is why
Yeah.
not everyone has it.
Yeah.
Yeah, those would be some of the main ones, I guess. Yeah, so the baseline, we had a big launch period. I think it was about a week or two ago. And it really was for me, like I said before, there's this baseline to success that most successful people have. And here in Chicago, I've been here for about 4 years now. It started off when I was coaching people about dating. I met a lot of really successful entrepreneurs and kind of bartered with them to learn the business success side from them, and then kind of taught them the dating side. So I had a lot of early mentors that there's no way I could have afforded. But more recently in Chicago here, just kind of really diving into the networking pool and really getting out there and pushing my comfort zone to meet more successful people. Meeting, probably over 10 or 15 people that are in the 10 million to 30 million. One guy's worth over $300 million range, and seeing, there's certain commonalities that now that I'm like interacting with them, I can see that a lot of them have the same sort of things going on. So for
Yeah.
me, it was because what the other side of it was is you could give somebody the perfect business plan, or back when I was teaching dating, I could tell the guy exactly what to say to talk to the girl, and it didn't matter because it was what's on the inside that counts. It's the
Yeah.
same thing if you have the perfect business strategy. It doesn't matter if you're afraid to ask for the money at the end of the deal, like whatever the game plan is, or if the first hurdle that gets in your way. With business, it's like you got to be patient. It always takes longer than you expect.
Yeah.
And when those hurdles go and they smash in your face, do you give up or do you have the follow through to keep on going and pivot and do the next best thing? And so that's the baseline. It's all about developing that follow through, the self
Okay.
trust, the assertiveness, the intimidation skills, and then later on, then we get into like persuasion. There's a big wealth, the whole level. There's 10 levels. One of them is like wealth focused, and build in your wealth thermometer is what I like calling it.
Yeah.
And then systems thinking, and so it's just all the 10 top characteristics that I think are
Okay.
necessary for success. There's the best return you're going to get. You can, historically, you could look at even like let's say Warren Buffett. His,
Yeah.
I think, best years he's making like 30% or 40%, and so, I mean, my business grew 300 or 3,000. I don't know, 30x like last year or something. Like when you invest in your business, the growth potential is just so much stronger. Until you have a great idea for the business, the way that you can do that is investing in yourself. And
Yeah.
so that's the thing that I would suggest the most is read as much as possible. Read as much as you can. Read all the classic self-help books. Read the Think and Grow Riches, and all the business books, and start developing that, and learn what you can while you're in a job, so that when
Mm-hmm.
you go off and do your own thing, you have the skill set then. So go learn the marketing skills. Try to apply them in the business that you're working at now, and then that's what's going to lead to all of a sudden, and then model the people you have around. Find either people that you can learn from, like mentors and coaches,
Yeah.
or YouTube videos. The same way we kind of came across each other through some of my videos and stuff like that, and then kind of do it virtually if you can. But definitely, if you have the opportunity to find somebody locally, there's just
Mm-hmm.
this extra level of, like, for myself, the way that I learned the dating stuff, the way I learned to become a better coach, the way I learned sales copy. I mean, the sales copy is a great example to where I would create a sales page, and then I had my mentor who wrote it literally take it and go, nope, this sucks. Oh, that's horrible. And I'm like, hey, I got enough self-esteem here. Just tell me what to fix. I appreciate
Okay.
this. So it's like trying to find somebody that's a few steps ahead.
Mm-hmm.
That would probably be the other advice I could give, is that when I talked, my dream was like, okay, I'm going to meet somebody that's worth like $300 million. And so I made that happen. But what ended up happening is, like, the advice that he gives me is literally like, you need to work on your core values. I mean, he's got like 15 companies. So he's like, oh, core values. So yeah, okay. So one other thing that I could tell for sure is that when you're looking for somebody, you want to make sure that they're only a few levels above, because
Mm-hmm.
as I was saying before, I have one guy who's worth $300 million, and so that was a dream. I thought I could learn so much from this guy, but when he's giving advice, it's about like finding the core values of your employees, or what's your EBITDA, and focus on that. And these are things that are totally really things that I shouldn't be focusing on right now. But what you
Yeah.
need to do is find a guy that's just one or two levels above you, and then learn from them and see, okay, what are they doing specifically. So for one of my mentors right now has like just one more zero instead of three or four more zeros above me. And for him, he's like, okay, here's how to get your operations manager up to speed and things like that. And I'm like, this is what I need, because I just got an operations manager. So how do I do that? And so it's trying to, when you're looking, don't think that, oh, I can't get the Richard Branson. It's like, you don't need the Richard Branson right now. He's not going to be able to help you. Get the guy
Yeah.
that's just like down the street that runs the local store or something like that. I guess for that other guy too, I'd say like read the book Never Eat Alone by Keith
Mm-hmm.
Ferrazzi. Great networking
Yeah.
book. And there's people in your life that you can connect with now. It's just getting a little bit creative to finding, just getting started. The two people that I think of the most would be Richard Branson and Tony Robbins.
Mm. Okay. How many girlfriends do you have right now?
One.
Okay. Who's your dream woman?
Uh, we'll say Dagny Taggart from Atlas Shrugged. I love Thailand
Mm-hmm.
in the winters, and Chicago in the summers.
Thailand. So, like in Thailand, basically, what, Pattaya or Bangkok?
I like, it's called Koh Tao, is like my little paradise. It's a little island off of Koh Phangan.
Do you smoke?
No. I use John Varvatos when I remember.
Okay. Like it's more masculine?
Yeah. Are you talking about for a man? Yeah, it's for a man. Oh, I
Yeah.
thought you meant, I don't know any women's perfume, so yeah, like cologne, yeah. I haven't voted for since like 2000. I might vote for him. I'm more leaning towards. I'm more of a Republican for sure. I'm Atlas Shrugged and stuff.
Okay.
Uh, Definitely more him than Hillary at the moment. The nose.
Yeah.
What about it?
I don't know.
The
It's broken,
broken.
right?
Actually, that's a funny thing. Like, uh, I remember it was literally, I was in my maybe 25, 26, and I was in Croatia, I remember. And all of a sudden, some dude was like, when did you break your nose? I was like, what? my nose is broken, and then I kind of became like internet famous, and guys are like, "Oh, big nose, broken nose." So it's literally like one of those things. Like we're all so self-conscious of like our hair and shit. And the thing is
Yeah.
like because I didn't even notice, it was never an issue. And then I was like, "Shit!" So I literally have no idea. I do remember one time when I was like 6 years old, somebody like fell on me when I was sledding in the snow, and like I had a bloody nose, and it was kind of messed up. So I'm guessing it was then, but literally I was oblivious to this until I started putting my face on YouTube. So,
Yeah.
no good story. Still recording, but the call dropped.